Welcome, everybody, to the Jim Masters Show, Entertainment Lifestyle Variety Talk Show series. How's everybody doing? Happy New Year. Hey, look at the screen. Look who our guest is. Extraordinary indie, folk pop artist, singer, songwriter, and so much more. Lauren Minear is joining us from New York. That's right. Hey, gang. So great to have you here. Our holiday decorations are still here in full force for all of you, just to keep that holiday spirit going. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year to you and yours. Thanks for joining us here on the show as we approach pretty soon, a couple of months, year 3 and over 900 episodes plus and counting of our Entertainment Lifestyle Variety Talk Show series. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for joining us. We're always here to entertain, inform, educate, have a good time with all of you. And thanks to all of the JMS Lovity gang. If you'd like to comment during the show, you can comment in our JMS Lovity chat room right now when you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Jim Masters TV. It doesn't cost anything. You just hit that red, or sometimes even on some platforms, it's like a black subscribe button. It just says the word subscribe, red or black, whatever it is, click it. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss any of the incredible episodes we have for you of our fantastic and unique talk show series. As I mentioned, Lauren is joining us, and we welcome everybody. It's so cool to have everybody here watching from all around the world. Lauren is in New York, and she's going to sing for us on the show, play for us as well with her singular blend of soul-laced folk pop. She's a Nashville-raised singer-songwriter who released her debut album, Invisible Woman, back in October of 2022. So it's literally hot off the presses. Very exciting. We talk about that. Steeped in the vulnerability of Nashville soul. Hers is the real deal, tender and emotive, yet raw and brutally honest songwriting in the lineage of Joni Mitchell and Lucinda Williams and Gillian Welch. Like these women, Lauren wears her heart on her sleeve, and she explores the corners of love through a fragile lens of self-awareness, evoking the likes of, well, Taylor Swift and many others. Natalie Merchant. Born in Manhattan, Lauren's family moved to Nashville, where she grew up, spending her formative years sharing her parents' love of Brooks and Dunn, Katie Lang, Garth Brooks, and Patsy Cline, as well as being immersed in both the sounds coming from the country music radio stations they tuned into on their regular drives from the city to New Orleans to visit her grandparents, and the Southern soul there radiating out of the Big Easy. She memorized songs by Faith Hill and Amy Grant and Mariah Carey and Shania Twain, and with her natural songwriting seemingly steeped in her blood, Lauren wrote her first song, Daddy's Little Girl, at the tender age of 14, and soon found herself interning on Music Row at Major Bob Music, at Sony ATV Publishing, and in the studio with Steve Earle, as well as performing and recording an EP with guitarist George Marinelli, who of course was with Bonnie Raitt. Now a mother of 2 little boys, and again living in New York. Yep, incredible stuff that's happening in her career. Lauren's journey has been far from just musical. Her life has given her a rich and varied tapestry of experiences from which to draw on as a songwriter. She also had a transformative journey that has given her confidence and power. Lauren's artistry and songwriting skills were rekindled when she became a mother, a process that changed both her perception of the world and of herself, and one that really brought her back to music and the spiritual therapy of creativity. Her fantastic new album, debut album, Invisible Woman, which is out on all major music streaming platforms, produced with a number of collaborators. The new album consists of 11 songs that she wrote while struggling with postpartum depression during the height of the pandemic. To create the album, she worked with multiple producers that she met virtually through an online network. The Online Recording Studios, one of her collaborators was UK producer Dan Weeks at WWW Studios in London, who produced Soul Tide and Last Generation and Too Much of You, Heartbroken, and also mastered all the tracks on the album. The artist also collaborated with award-winning songwriter Grace Askew from The Voice Season 4 on the last track of the album, The Unknown, and also recorded the song as a solo acoustic in her home studio, in the guest room, of course, and had Weeks mix and master the track. In addition, she worked with New York City music producer, composer, mixing engineer, and guitarist Dan Barracuda as a producer, and mixed on a number of the tracks. She's also brought on guitarist and producer Corey Clark to produce her track, Long Way Down. Then, of course, she produced the track Mothers. She hired string arranger Stevie Black and guitarist Corey Clark to track the instrumental parts. She recruited two close friends who also had babies during the pandemic to sing the background vocals. After giving birth to her second son 2 weeks before the pandemic, she had moved to the suburbs and put her private psychotherapy practice. Yes, she's a psychotherapist as well. She put it on hold because she suffered from postpartum anxiety and depression and found solace in her songwriting. It's a very inspiring story as well as musical here on this episode of the Jim Masters Show. She took a year to write songs full time and ended up completing 55 songs by 2021. She also played a number of virtual open mics and recorded her first album, as I mentioned, as well. Really fantastic. Andrea Self, multi-platinum songwriter for Faith Hill, says that Lauren has a gorgeous ability to write about difficult things and really connect. It's extraordinary. We're very excited to welcome her to the show. And this is just really the short list of incredible things that are happening. You can see on the screen her name, of course, and you can see her image. But right there in the center is the image of the actual album itself. And here's another shot of it, Invisible Woman. We're very excited to have her here on the show, coming to us again from New York. And thanks, gang. It's so great to have all of you here watching from all around the world. Again, if you'd like to comment in the JMS Levity chat room, feel free to do that. It is open and available when you subscribe to the YouTube channel right now. Without further ado, in front of her beautiful microphone, guitar at her feet, it's my pleasure to welcome Lauren Minear to the Jim Masters Show for the first time, and I know definitely won't be the last. Lauren, welcome to the Jim Masters Show. Happy New Year, happy holidays, and great to have you with us.
Likewise, Happy New Year to you. It's great to be here.
Oh, fantastic to have you here. And how's the new year going so far? I know you're just talking a couple of days, but busy already?
Busy already. It's been I've been on mom duty mostly, just getting my kids settled back in school. Right when we were setting up, Jim, you heard bedtime happening behind me. Yeah, we've just been getting back into a routine after spending a lot of time with family. And I'm preparing some new work actually to go into the studio at the end of the month. So
That
super
is
busy.
cool. So
Yeah.
super busy already. And were you
Yeah.
working during the course of holiday time as well?
A little here and there, but I really tried to take a break.
Yeah, that's the way
I
to do it.
Yeah, I feel like it really helps the work be better if you can take a moment away.
Absolutely right. So, of course, during the holiday times, there's so much to do and so much that has to get done. But what do you normally do to balance all the craziness of being in the music world? And
Mhm.
also, you're noted psychotherapist. You've been in that world. You put
Mhm.
that on a pause a little bit to really focus on life and family and the music, which developed as well. How do you balance it all?
I don't. Um,
Great, honest, truthful answer. Is that the
um,
first time, folks, you actually heard anybody say that? Usually everybody says, "Oh, well, I."
well, I do all the things. I do the yoga, I meditate, I talk to my friends. I have a lot of support around me. But I really think that parenting, particularly parenting young children, is uniquely difficult, and that the pandemic highlighted that. And it's something that really doesn't get talked about a lot. It's just a very chaotic time. And I know that when I went into it, I really wanted to be, I chose to be a parent. I really planned that out, but I wasn't prepared for sort of the transformation that I would go through as an individual, how it would impact my relationships, how it would impact my life. And I think I would have really benefited from hearing how hard it is from other people. And so I try to be honest about that it's just really tough to balance.
What do you think is the hardest? Is it because you're a mother and you have the family? Is that the hardest of all of it to balance, or is it the getting in the studio, coming up with the songs, possibly even performing, on tour or being live in studios everywhere?
For me, the performing is the most fun part. The writing, I think, comes very naturally to me. I think the challenge for me has been to carve out the space and time for that, and to really reconcile within myself the idea that it helps my children when I do the things that make me happy.
Yeah.
Because I think I, like a lot of moms, have suffered from, guilt around being away from my kids, or, um, what so many variety there's so many different circumstances that you feel pulled no matter what.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that's the hardest part, is feeling like there's a part of me that wants to be writing and wants to be performing and is really brought alive by that, and then a part of me that is needed by my kids, and figuring out how to strike a balance.
That's the thing. It's a very difficult, 'cause, the music industry itself is so demanding alone. Was it hard to put the psychotherapy on hold, to being a psychotherapist and loving that work and
Mhm.
helping so many through that work? Was that a difficult decision to pause that a little bit?
Well, I would say that had I not closed, I might not be doing this right now had I not closed my practice. My family was in the midst of a move pre-pandemic. So I had closed my private practice in the city, to move and get settled, have the baby. I was pregnant, and then was planning to reopen my practice out here, in Westchester, in the suburbs of New York City. And then the pandemic hit, and that really shifted my thinking and planning, and changed everything for me. So yes, it was hard to put it aside, but I put it aside thinking I was coming right back. And then the world changed. And I do miss it now, honestly, but I really think about, and I may go back, I don't know, but I think about the music that I write as, what would I want my clients to hear if they were to find me and realize, oh, my therapist is making music. Like, I try to think of it as sort of an extension of that work.
It's a
Um,
therapy. It's therapeutic, cathartic. Music's very healing on many
yeah.
different levels. People connect with it, on various different levels. We just heard, all the holiday music wafting through our lives, and
Mhm.
that harkens some beautiful feelings about family and home and hearth and spirituality and togetherness, and miracles can happen, and childhood, and all these things that are surrounding us, which is absolutely beautiful. And music on all levels can really be like a form of therapy, right? For the artist as well as the consumer of it.
Absolutely. I like to say that there's a parallel process that goes on, between the artist and the consumer, in a similar way that there's a parallel process between a therapist and the client. You're really, or even just like co-writing, making something with somebody, you're co-creating, you're making something that didn't exist, that wouldn't exist in any other way. And that's the same as what happens in a therapy session.
Before we talk more about the music, I'm just fascinated by what initially inspired you to want to go into even psychotherapy. What was it about that world that really spoke to you? Obviously, you have this desire, but also this great skill, this passion, this need and want to help others,
Mhm.
to help them find the light, find the sense of who they are, maybe return to their sense of self, whatever it may be that you're working through with them. What was it about that spoke to you first to want to go into that field?
My own experience in therapy. I had a very transformative experience in therapy when I was young. I struggled with eating disorders when I was in my teens and early 20s, and really found myself through therapy, and wanted to pass that on and give that back. And also in discovering, who I was and what I was interested in doing, I had always cared deeply about other people and doing something that was impactful and important in the world. Um, and I love that work. I still love that work. I specialize in treating eating disorders, and I think it's really important. Not even eating disorders, disordered eating and body image struggles, which I think pretty much everyone can relate to at some point in their lives, and have really found that work to be deep and powerful in terms of helping people come to know themselves. And for me, the culmination of my own healing is getting back to music, which was the thing that I loved first in life. And uh, again, there's sort of a parallel between the therapy work that I was doing and then my own healing, and it's reflected in my lyrics.
We mentioned also at the top a little bit about the postpartum situation
Mhm.
that you've worked through. When did you realize that was happening, and how has music and turning to music helped you through that? There might be folks who are watching right now who either know somebody or they themselves are going through something very similar. And for those who have not gone through it, they might not understand how somebody could have that kind of reaction when there is, a birth of a baby or a child
Mhm.
involved. You would think it's totally always going to be the opposite,
Mhm.
but that's not always the case. Tell us a bit about this story and how that ties in to, of course, the album, the songs, but also your own journey.
Sure. The way I think about it, putting my therapist hat on, I had 2 different birth experiences. I have 2 children. In the first one, it was not a pandemic, and I had all the support around me that I needed, and so I was fortunate enough not to struggle. But in the second one, it was the middle. I actually had my second baby 2 weeks before the pandemic started. So we were in lockdown with a newborn and a toddler, sort of between homes, and it was just a difficult circumstance where we couldn't possibly have the appropriate support to help me recover from giving birth, right? Because it's such a transformative physical and physiological experience to grow a person and give birth. You really need a lot of support around you to recover physically and emotionally. And there's so much research now around how the brain changes more during pregnancy and postpartum than it does during like adolescence. It
Yeah.
really does physically change you. And it was just a time when because of the circumstances, I could not attend to myself at all. So for me, I actually had what I guess clinically you would call like late onset PPD, where during lockdown, I just sort of like did what I needed to do and just like forgot about my own body and just like took care of my kids. And then once things opened up again, I realized that like the baby was sleeping through the night and I wasn't.
Mm,
Um, and things were a little safer, but I still didn't feel safe, that sort of thing. And so
right.
that's when I realized that, I might need a little bit of help. And for me, in addition to speaking to a doctor, writing and articulating that experience was really healing, and I really felt called. I remember the day where I was like in the woods in upstate New York with a baby strapped to me, and I
Mm.
called a friend who's an artist, and I said, "I can't believe I left this part of myself behind. I need to be writing songs." And so I did.
So, did you already have an idea what you were going to write, what that music was going to be? How did that all develop for you?
I really didn't. The first album that I put out started very much as my own process where I decided I was not going to, if I'm going to delay reopening my practice, I am going to set a goal and really commit to writing songs every day. And so that's what I did. And I realized over time that I had within that body of work a collection about motherhood.
Mm,
Um, and I was speaking to, I grew up in Nashville and loved writing music then. So I'm very fortunate to have some mentors from my earlier life who are also singer-songwriters. And I was able to reach out to them and say, does this make any sense to record this? The music industry is so single driven,
right.
and got some support from veteran artists around me who said, if you have a collection of work that really speaks to the experience of motherhood, which it was magnified by the pandemic. It was sort of like, distilled into something more potent by the pandemic, but is perhaps a universal experience, then that makes sense to publish it all together. And that's what I did. In fact, the title track, Invisible Woman, is a song that I wrote the morning after speaking to an old songwriting teacher from 20 years ago, um, and telling him what I was working on. And he said, I really want you to lean into that experience of being a mother, a postpartum mother. Um, and I wrote Invisible Woman because I do think that we all obviously in theory love mothers and children, but we don't know collectively a lot about the ins and outs of the experience of being postpartum and what support is necessary. Not to mention the fact that so many mothers need to go back to work so soon after giving birth, which we know is not good for anyone. So my hope was in putting this out that other people would sort of feel seen, literally.
I like that.
Mhm.
I like that premise. I like that idea and the fact that, you're speaking to them directly through the music. What was the writing process like when putting the words to paper? How did you get started? And what were some of the, I mean, obviously that story you just shared is a source of inspiration, but what else helped you get that
Sure.
song
So
together?
I am a person who writes all the time. I always have. I'm not very organized about it, but I have just endless notebooks, endless sheets of paper. I have like a box of journals that I've carried around with me through every apartment, house, like
Yeah,
it's moved with me a million times.
you too, huh?
Yes. So the inspiration I'm not short on inspiration. What I really needed to sort of hone was the discipline of finishing songs. And I worked with a creativity coach. Her name is Grace Askew. She's also an award-winning songwriter in her own right and an artist. And she really helped me, like in very few sessions, sort of just like get over myself
Yeah,
and finish songs.
right.
So that's why I set a goal of writing 50 songs. Is I was just like, when I start a song, I'm gonna finish it, even if it's good, if it's bad, if I hate it, if I never look at it again. And so that was really what I did. And I started setting aside an hour every day to do that. And then that, as I became more committed, that time sort of grew, and child school reopened and I had more childcare. It sort of blossomed from there. But it was really getting the discipline of taking that moment of inspiration and just like facing it and then finishing the song. And I'm lucky enough to have had some formal training in how to write a song when I was younger. So I had that to fall back on.
Grew up in New York, raised in Nashville, now
Mhm.
back in New York. That's sort of full circle.
It
Um,
is.
how did growing up, well, how did having a New York sensibility as well as the Nashville upbringing aid you in any way in your understanding of life? Or maybe there's just little things, little nuggets of each that sort of uh, assist you in your songwriting ability, your ability to connect with people. I mean, here you are talking about being born in the largest city, pretty much in America,
Mhm.
and living still in New York now. Nashville, middle America, great American city, Music City, USA, just about, and all those influences as well. How did any of that locale opportunities sort of connect with you on this as well?
Sure. I think if anything, it really helped me sort of hone my unique sound because I definitely come from, I spent most of my formative musical years studying piano, studying guitar, learning to write songs, performing in Nashville, which then was largely country music, now is not only country music. But I certainly have like a storytelling, a lyrically driven style that comes from the Nashville songwriting culture. But my sound is not is not quite country Americana folk. It doesn't quite fit, right? And then I also grew up going to New Orleans all the time. I was around a lot of soul and gospel music, and am very inspired by some kind of 90s pop singer-songwriters, female singer-songwriters. A lot of people hear my work and immediately associate it with like Alanis Morissette or Natalie Merchant.
Mm, yeah.
So I think like sort of not really, I never, and part of this was geographical, part of it was just my psyche, but I never quite felt like I fit in one place. And so has informed my really unique perspective, I think. And my sound, as it continues to develop, is sort of like a fusion of like somewhere along a spectrum between Americana and pop. Um, yeah, but New York is also an amazing musical place, and I draw on both of those resources.
Mm.
I recently went back to Nashville and performed for the first time in years, and it was amazing. So
Yeah, what was that like? That had to be, pinch me moment, huh?
yeah, it was so fun. It really was fun, and it was fun to see some friends from high school who liked my music in high school, and remember that, who I haven't seen in a long time, but remember
Yeah,
that, and to have my family, my family's in Nashville, my extended family,
they're
so
all
to have
there.
some extended family there was really fun too.
I said in the introduction when I was welcoming you on that you've been on this transformative journey because obviously, as much as we're talking about the music, there's been a lot of empowerment and inspiration
Mhm.
and sort of life changing things that you've experienced that given you sort of this confidence and power, and through the artistry itself and the songwriting skills, sort of some of this confidence and power were rekindled when
Mhm.
you became a mother. And it's a process that literally has changed both your perception of the world and of yourself, bringing
Mhm.
you back to music and the spiritual therapy of creativity. Tell us about that process, and how has your perception of the world changed through everything we've been through in the last few years, and what you've experienced as well on your journey?
So, I have been fortunate to have a lot of support along the way, including my own therapist. So that has certainly contributed to what I'm about to say, because I don't know that everybody gets that opportunity. But for me, I always wanted to be a mother. I always made my career decisions around wanting to become a mother. And then when I became a mother, it almost felt like parenting reduced me to my essence because it's so hard that in these moments where you need to be present with your child when they're having a tantrum and you don't know what to do. For me, I like the thing that came up was music. It was writing songs to get through a moment with my kid, making up a little song on the spot to get through a moment with my kid, or having a way to entertain them when I didn't that I enjoyed, right? That I could be present for, rather than playing the game for the millionth time that I like want to kind of check out of. And so for me, like motherhood brought me back to myself in that way. I was like, oh, like this is just comes really naturally to me. Um, and then I would say, how has it changed my worldview? I think when you, particularly in the postpartum period, when you're so hormonally and biologically focused on your child and caregiving, your empathy is enormous. It's almost overwhelming. And so I
Hmm.
think I remember at the beginning of this writing process, writing a song called Mothers, which was the first one that I recorded for this album. And it was really about like how I felt like holding a child and being just hyper aware of the fact that everyone was once a child, right? And watching a world that's so divided, where there's so much conflict, where people are suffering and just being sort of emotionally overwhelmed by that, but also like empowered by the idea that like I made a person and the hope in that. Um, just I don't know if that answers your question.
What a fantastic way to look at everything, because I do the same thing all the time. And maybe that's what led me to being a communicator, a
Mhm.
broadcaster, an on air TV radio guy, is the understanding of all of us need each other, and
Mhm.
empathy and kindness are so
Mhm.
important. And we've talked about it, over the many, 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 many months and hundreds of episodes we've done of the series with the various guests, that, that's key and essential in life, is all of us sort of finding common ground, as opposed to going off and rowing different boats on different rivers. Let's find that fork that brings us together. And I think it's really truly important, because a lot of times we lose our way, and we only want to hear our own voice, and we don't
Mhm.
want to hear anything else. But that's not the way everything works. That's not the way the earth spins smoothly, and
Mhm.
that's not how or why any of this that we're living was created.
Right.
And I do that too. When I see crazy stuff going on, I'm like, that person at one time,
Mhm.
so it was a little infant in
Mhm.
a bassinet,
Mhm.
or played with toys at one time. Maybe they seem all uptight now, but at one time they were rolling around on the floor playing with their Matchbox cars or their dolls. You look back a little bit, and it creates a little bit of that understanding of innocence. I think I think with you, having that sort of psychotherapist background, the understanding of the human condition, of
Yes.
the mind, of people. I've always loved psychology myself. And I think when you come at things from the humanistic approach,
Mhm.
it gives you that rare and beautiful way to look at people and look at things beyond the facade, beyond the armor, beyond what's being branded or presented to you.
Mhm.
You look for the heart and soul. And it's obvious that's something that is very important to you, and you do it, and you're able to connect deeper with the music to people's hearts and souls, right?
Absolutely. And, I recently found my college admissions essay. um, which is a little wild. And I wrote even then, I was rereading it about how performing performing really is a um, is like a concentrated version of that, right? Like they connect for me, not for everybody, but for me, like connect performing music in front of people and having them connect to it. Like there's something so powerful about that, and it's like a distillation of the human condition, and like this um, really amazing, inexplicable experience. But yeah, I think that and this applies to me, we often get sort of caught up with our individual path in life and I'm a very driven person. I always have been. And, you know, sort of concerned with where we're going and where we're going to get, and that we forget that at the end of the day, we all need each other and have more in common than we don't. And for me, motherhood like really brought me into my body in that way and into my that sort of not innate knowledge. Um, and
Do you see any musicality in your children?
I do. I really do. Yes, both of them really love me, and maybe all children do. Maybe we all are born with musicality. I would even,
Yes.
but they both have very good rhythm, so there's some talent there. And they both enjoy singing, and we'll see. My son is about to start tap lessons, which he's very excited about.
How cool.
I know. He's
Wow.
very into like my older son, my 5-year-old is like very perform like he likes to tell stories and give a performance and
Oh,
dance. And
yeah.
we're trying to lean into that for
Well,
him.
definitely, as time moves on, show him all the Sammy Davis Jr. movies and Gregory
Mhm.
Hines and
Exactly.
all the legendary tap experts and stars, and of course, multi-talented in many other areas as well. So, where do you see this taking you? What is your master plan? What is your, thought where you've got the new year, you've got all these cool things that are happening. You've just released the album in October. Congratulations with that as well.
Thank you.
And the feedback has been really fantastic on it too. A
Thanks.
lot of people loving it. Again, gang, it's available on all, of the major platforms. We're talking about it again. She's going to perform live for us as well. There's her website. If you want to check out a little bit more about her and all the other cool things happening in her world, events and press and things of that nature. But what else? What do you see? What do you hope is going to happen as you continue down your musical road, Lauren?
Sure. Well, I feel like I was given a gift. The pandemic was such a difficult time for me and for many, but it also sort of created space to reevaluate for a lot of people and a lot of creative people. And I feel like I was
Yes.
given an opportunity to focus full time on music that I don't know that I've ever had before. Even as a younger person, like I wouldn't, even if I'd gone into music first, I don't think that I really would have been in a phase in my life where I was like stable enough to really focus on it, writing all full time. And so I am gonna ride that. And I've actually wrote another album last year. So I'm working on that. It'll come out in a while. I don't know.
Cool.
But
Yeah.
I'm performing in the city, in New York City, and the Westchester area, and I'm putting a band together. And I would love to be able to play shows to have people who come and hear me play live would be like the end all be all for me. Mhm.
Absolutely. You'd love doing that, performing live,
I
having
do.
an
Yeah,
opportunity
I
for
really
people
do. Yeah.
to hear and,
I
and
always
see.
say I always say I'm, like, more comfortable on stage than I am at a cocktail party. Like, I don't
Oh,
it's weird, but
yeah.
I'm, like, uncomfortable socially, but on stage, I, like, feel very much at home, so
A lot of people say that. Yeah, a lot of performers in person are a lot quieter and shyer, more reserved. And when they're doing their thing on stage, on camera, on air, whatever it is, they come alive. They tap
yeah.
into areas that it sort of brings out a confidence that
Mhm.
maybe they don't feel in themselves. But then over time, sometimes maybe that rubs off a little bit and you do feel it a little bit more than you would have, or it sort of helps bring it out, as
Mhm.
that it does that so well. What about when you're doing your thing, when you're recording, when you're making the music? Here's something we grabbed. What were you doing
I love
here?
that. I love that photo.
Yeah.
So when I was over in London, my producer, who I collaborate the most with, happens to be in London. And when I was there last, my husband is British, so I go
Yeah.
there relatively frequently.
Ah, very nice.
We did some studio sessions. So we recorded some live acoustic versions of 5 songs off the album, which will be coming out soon. So stay tuned
Ooh,
for that. Yeah, and we got
there's a little
videos. Yeah.
very nice. So
Yeah.
that's fantastic. So how did you guys meet?
We met, and I think that's another thing about the pandemic is I don't know that I would have been able to do this if everyone hadn't gone remote because I did have a newborn and a toddler at home. I mean, I could have, but I would have been hard to get in, to get started.
You took
Um,
the pandemic lemons and you turned it all into lemonade.
Something like
L
that. Yes,
Lauren's lemonade.
spiked lemonade or something. I mean, like a little, like, but so I started working with a network that I found. I was posting my songs online that as I wrote them, not yet knowing that I was going to record them. And but was sort of I learned to produce a little bit myself, like basic knowledge, and was looking for producers to work with. And I found this network online called the Online Recording Studio. That's basically like it's kind of like Sound Better, but a little bit more more like personalized. So you can hire, it's like a network of producers, and you can hire them to do a song, or you can hire them to do an album. And so I did a couple of songs with them. And through that process, I met Dan Weeks, who's now my closest collaborator. And we just had you know, I think one of the hardest things about collaborating is finding somebody with whom you have good creative chemistry.
Yeah.
And I just got really lucky. So
Yeah.
we began writing together and just would like churn out 2 songs a session, 2 songs in 2 hours. And um, he's worked very closely with me on the new music that I'm doing now. So yeah, I don't know. I just sort of like followed what I found, just like went with it.
You went with it and you just enhanced the passion that was already
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
which is absolutely awesome. So
Mhm.
you love the time in the studio as well as on stage and really being creative, and we got some evidence of it here. That's a cool shot.
I love that shot where we're
Yeah.
listening to the playback, and I wasn't sure if I liked the take or not. So, and Dan and Joe, who's my manager now, were like, just listen to it."
Right. Just shh, listen
Yes,
and let
I was
it
like, "I don't know,
just
it wasn't good," and and I listened, and then we kept it. So,
I
when we were
like the
doing these
hats.
live takes, yeah.
Right. I like the I'm a hat person too. I have a huge collection of hats of all kinds, and I'm always picking them up wherever we go somewhere, whether it's vacation or we've been to Europe, wherever it is. I always get hats. And how about your collection? You got a great collection of hats
Thank
here.
you,
I
thank
see.
you. I started wearing that hat. I had a friend who was a stylist, and she was like, "You need this hat." And I never wore hats before that because I was always like, I'm not a country music artist, and I'm from Nashville, so I was like, I don't wear like I don't wear hats. But I took on an identity with the hats. So, and they've been a big part of the artwork for this project.
How did this? I love the image playing into Invisible Woman. The fact where you really don't see the eyes,
Mhm.
but you see some of the profile and the hair and a little bit of the hat. How'd you come up with that idea for the cover?
I have to
Ooh,
credit the photographer that I worked with. His name is, oh, I'm unprepared. His name is Jeffrey. I'm gonna look it up. Um, and I got a great referral to work with him, and he does a lot of headshots for actors. So he's just like done a lot of portraiture, and
Not
I gave him
Hornstein.
what? No.
Yeah,
Oh
'cause
man.
I know him.
I'll come up with it and put it so you can put it in the comments so that people can reference his work. But I got just from a friend who's an actor and a singer and an artist herself, I got this referral, and I wanted to work with someone who I would be really comfortable with, who wouldn't really, like who could really bring out me. And he just really delivered. And I put together a Pinterest board um, of inspiration. That was a lot of Joni Mitchell, like old, like black and white photos of Joni Mitchell with her guitar. I wanted it to be very timeless and sort of, the idea that this music could really exist at any time, because we're talking about something that's universal and so common yet complex. And so I put together all of these shots that were inspiration shots, and I brought the outfits, the hats, and the sort of black and white clothes. And then he just really is a beautiful artist,
Mm,
and really delivered.
really delivered for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Got some other. This is a cool shot. You're
Yeah, I
really
love that one. That's from my album release party, at the Red Room in Manhattan.
you're in your element there,
I'm
huh?
in my element. Yeah, it's so fun. It was really
Yeah.
fun to play. It was I told you I'm not usually nervous on stage, but this was a performance I did where, like, all of my friends and family were there, and I was
Where
nervous.
did you have it? Where'd you hold
At
it?
the Red Room
Oh,
in
yeah.
Manhattan, so it's over
Yeah.
KGB bar in the
Yeah.
Lower East Side, or I guess East Village.
He's right, East Village,
Um,
right. Cool
yeah, it was a
place.
great spot. Yeah, it was a great spot, and my
It
2 producers, Dan Weeks, came over from England, and then the other producer that I've worked with who plays guitar with me now, Dan, Barracuda is his name,
right.
came and played with me. It was awesome.
That's fantastic,
Mhm.
huh? Is it has any of this surprised you? Any of the response and the way people are connecting with your music, whether it's other people in the industry, other performers, producers, other folks that, have produced music for many others, as well as for the fans of your work, the
Mhm.
listeners, the people who are purchasing the music. Has any of this surprised you or overwhelmed you in any way?
I have to say that, I would like to say, part of me wants to be like, "Yes, it's been so yes, I'm surprised." But
I'd like to
this may
thank the Academy.
I'd like to thank the Academy. I had a very clear vision of this. Like, I really very clearly and strongly was like, "This is what I'm supposed to be doing now." And, if there's one consistent thing throughout all of the different work that I've done in my life, that has always the common thread is that when I am writing, even when my writing isn't technically perfect, it could be a song, it could be a essay, it could be a history paper, that I have my gift is to connect through writing so that it like resonates with people. So I just really poured my heart into this and felt like so I don't it sounds a little woo woo, but like I truly had a little bit of a realization in the woods one day,
Well, yeah,
and
hey,
I
like I
yeah,
told you beforehand, I get that at the ocean.
yeah,
There's
and I
nothing wrong
called
with a little woo-woo.
I mean, I called a dear friend who I went to high school with, who is a visual artist. Her name is Kimia Klein. She's she's a curator and a visual artist. She knew she was going to be an artist when we were in high school. She's still an artist. She's always known, and she's really followed that. And I called her and I said, Kimia, like, I feel so sad that I'm not writing music. And she just didn't miss a beat. She said, it's not too late. Read this book about creativity. Go do it. And I did. And I
Mhm.
really I just knew that I had something to say.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, writing and music, you know, I used to personally believe that, and the reason I didn't become a singer in the first place is because I thought, I'll never be Mariah Carey, I'll never be the absolute best at this. And I really had a all or nothing black and white view of the world at that time in my life.
Mm,
And I think what I've learned is that I mean, Mariah Carey has a gift. Like, I don't no shade to Mariah Carey because she's unbelievable, and I sang her songs at the top of my lungs as a child. But what makes you good is having something to say that people
yes,
connect to and being able to
right.
say it. Um, and I didn't know what I wanted to say when I was younger, but now I do. So,
Mm. Yeah, see, isn't that cool? It takes
mhm,
time and wisdom and living and going through the good, bad, up and down of life to come out with a perspective that you were finding your voice
yes.
and you
And it
found it,
just took me a while,
literally. Right, and it
literally.
does. Sometimes
Mhm.
it does, and thank God you did, right?
I
Sometimes
know,
some
right?
people go through life and they don't find it until the very, very end of things, or if they're lucky to find it at all.
I
They're
know.
always
It's
searching and
true.
searching
It's true. And I
when
had
they
a
had it
lot
right
of
in front of them too.
support and opportunity along the way that I'm very grateful for. Yeah.
Very important. Or they had the voice, but they listened to too much of what's going on
Mhm.
outside of
Mhm.
themselves, and they sort of stifled that voice
Yes.
because it has to be like everybody else, and it has to be a carbon copy of this one and that one and that one, and like
Mhm.
factory, assembly line, and then you carve out your own, the Lauren
Yeah, and I'm
voice.
lucky to be, 30 years ago, I mean, like, my mother's generation, circumstances were different for women. I've had a lot of opportunity. My mother was the first or the second class of women at her university, So I have really wanted to take all of the opportunities that I was given and make the most of them and make sure that they remain for future generations, because it's
Right.
really important that we hear everybody's voice.
That's right. Of which we would love to hear yours right now. What a
Yeah,
great
you must do this
segue,
for a
huh?
living. Yeah, I'm really
I tell you. Yeah, I tell you.
yeah,
She
no.
was born on one island and I was born on the other island. Manhattan and Long.
Yes,
And here we are.
here we
Tell
are.
us about that beautiful guitar you have in front of
Oh,
you.
so this is my new guitar. I just bought this guitar, and I got it at Rudy's, which is kind of like a famous
Yeah.
guitar in Lower Manhattan. And
Okay. I
I
have to
bought it.
go there. Yeah.
I bought it when I was in the city by myself. I'd been planning to buy a new guitar because I've been playing the same Alvarez guitar since I was 16 that I like bought with my allowance money, like my
Yes.
waiting table money. And it 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 was it really needed to be replaced. Like it did not sound great, but I was still
Yeah.
playing it because I was attached.
Yeah.
Um, and so this
It's
one I
beautiful.
saw her and I just fell in love with her.
May
And
have to
she's so
take a trip
great.
to Rudy's because I've been told a post Christmas gift is going to be replacing my acoustic guitar because it's needing to be replaced. Like you said, you come to a time
Uh-huh.
where it's weathered and it's cracking a
Yes.
little,
Yes.
and I was told after the holidays that's I'm going to be taken somewhere, and I think maybe I should put Rudy's on
Maybe you
that
should too.
list.
I really had a great experience there. They were very knowledgeable. They
Yeah,
sold me a humidifier to put inside the guitar,
very
prevent
important,
the
right?
cracking. And, maybe I'm a sucker, but I had such a beautiful experience there, and I was thrilled to spend my money, like,
It's
I was thrilled to buy
beautiful. It's even got a sort of
Mhm.
like a vanilla color to it.
It does, and it's a the model is like the Paul McCartney, like, Texan model. So anyway, it's a really
Very nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
This segment's sponsored by Rudy's.
I know, really, right? You're welcome,
Maybe
Rudy's.
maybe it should be
Would you
Rudy.
like to sponsor me? Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm gonna play the first song off of my album. It's called Soul Tide, and it's about um I'll give you a little more than the usual spiel because we're having a conversation here. I
Yes, ma'am.
had this idea in my mind for a while about not being able to recognize yourself in the mirror when you've gone through something hard, and not because you like look bad or different, but like just that you really, you feel as if you've changed internally and doesn't look the same when you look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And that's really how I felt after the pandemic. But I think it's something that um, I'm totally talking about the wrong song. I'm so sorry.
But that was
It's a beautiful idea. That is a song called
that
Honey.
is
That is a
that
song called
is
Honey.
yes,
You may
right.
remember. This one is called Soul Tide, and it's about the line that I started with is "There's a part of me that never sleeps," which I think describes parenting.
So you have one song, The Sleeping, the other song, Not Recognize
Not
Yourself in
recognize
the
you.
Mirror,
So
all
maybe I
available on all major streaming platforms.
it's almost 8 p.m. I'm a mom. It's like I'm supposed to be asleep now. That's why I
Right.
confused my own
Which when you're exhausted, you won't recognize yourself in the mirror
no,
either.
I won't. But this is one that I think a lot of people relate to, and it's about loving someone so much that it splits you in pieces.
Yes.
Let me know how the sound is.
Sounds really good.
invisible string tethers me to you. I'm is who I used to be. She fades so quietly. When I wanna go, when I wanna leave, I see your face, remember why I breathe. The oceans in your eyes, the simple ties that bind, we're tangled up in twine for all of time. We're so tired. There's a part of me that longs for freedom. She'd hit the road, she'd go, she'd chase my dreams. An invisible string tethers me to you. I miss who I used to be. She faded so quietly. And when I wanna go, when I wanna leave, I see your face, remember why I breathe. The oceans in your eyes, the simple ties that bind, we're tangled up in twine for all of time. We're so tired. Oh, heart, home, body, soul will never be the same. I wouldn't change it. You rearranged me. When I wanna go, when I wanna leave, I see your face, remember why I breathe. The oceans in your eyes, the simple ties that bind, we're tangled up in twine for all of time. When I wanna go, when I wanna leave, see your face, remember why I breathe. The oceans in your eyes, the simple ties that bind, we're tangled up in twine for all of time. We're so tired. We're so tired. We're so tired.
Really beautiful, my
Wow.
friend. That's gorgeous. So when you're performing that,
Mhm.
what's flowing through you? What's happening inside for Lauren?
Well, so I have to go back. When I perform it now, I smile. I just like think it's so fun that because people have really responded to it. So I'm having a totally different experience from when I wrote it. But if I allowed myself to go where I go naturally. But what I try to do is I think about how I felt when I wrote it. And I think about like watching my children sleeping and feeling, um, you know, forever changed by them, but also having this part of me that wants to do things that are for me. And I think that really encapsulates parenthood these days, feeling sort of torn. And I think that's a really real feeling that people need to have articulated and like mirrored back to them so they don't feel so guilty about it.
That's a beautiful thing that you're doing because you're using music to connect with people in ways that go beyond sometimes just the day to day. And I think that's really fantastic because these are the things we're talking about are things that, everybody deals with. And even like
Mhm.
for your husband,
Yes.
sort of also guiding you and helping you, being a support system and other members of your family. with the understanding of what you were experiencing, or trying to understand what you're experiencing that you were living, um, it sort of touches and reaches them on different levels as well, right?
Absolutely. And I think it also, I've also had people connect to this song in particular who aren't parents, who are just trying to understand their own parents, or who are, in a relationship, which have a partner, which, there's always opportunity cost, right? When you make a commitment, there's always something else you could be doing. And I think that it's important to sort of say those feelings out loud. That's the therapist in me, right? Like if they don't get said out loud and felt out loud, then they get acted out on, or they cause you suffering. So, and yeah, I think that my uh, family and my husband have really enjoyed seeing me sort of come alive through music and use things that were hard for me to, turning hard things into something beautiful, which, maybe is all there is, I don't
Right, right. No, that's very true. Exactly. Right. Yes, exactly. What would Lauren of today say to the Lauren of just a few years ago, or maybe even, 20 years ago?
no one knows what they're doing.
Right. There isn't always a handbook.
No,
Right.
I think that as a young person, I always felt like I was trying to do the right thing and to do things right and to do them perfectly and to be good at things. And everybody's making it up as they go along, right? Like everyone's just figuring it out. And I think that if I had known that as a younger person, it would have been helpful to me. Um, and I know that that would have been helpful to me in early motherhood. And I know that there are new parents out there who need to hear that it's like actually just this hard. You're not doing it wrong.
Right.
You know,
Right. Exactly.
whether
Yeah.
it's parenting or living or like being in a relationship or making something, it's just like a challenge. So, and it's okay.
And that's the bottom line. What you just said is that it's okay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that it's absolutely okay. And what was it like recruiting all those producers and getting that's a whole thing unto itself, that's a lot of work. I
I
know in
know.
working in this industry that when you're bringing all these elements and all these people who are creatives and artistic and expert in their own way, and get them to even be able to be available at similar times is tough. How were you able to pull that off?
Again, I didn't. It was very piecemeal at first. I found one producer who I felt like understood what I was saying and was available, and he did a couple of songs. And then it very quickly sort of became clear that I wanted to make an album, and he wasn't available for an album. So then I had to sort of like go back to the drawing board, and try, trial and error, trial and error. That's all. And this album really was an experiment. The next project that I do will be different, and that I will have conceived of it as an album from the beginning. But this one really does like embody the process, in that I figured it out as I went, and ultimately found a partner in the online recording studio and the owner of that business, Joe Wadsworth, who is now my manager. And he sort of got what I was doing and believed in me. And I really appreciate that from him. And so we're working sort of in closer partnership now. And that has helped me make things move quicker. But I do have sort of a like relentlessness about me that that is, for
Is that the
better
New
and for
Yorker?
worse.
That's probably the New Yorker part.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like I
Mhm.
just was like,
Keep
this
the
is
traffic moving,
like
folks.
just yeah, you just like move in. I just like kept moving in the direction that I wanted to go. And through a lot of personal work and growth, was able to trust the process, which is hard. Um, and had moments of doubt where I was like, this
Yeah.
is a bad idea,
You know
And my partner, when I turned to my husband and said, hey, so I'm not going to reopen my practice, I'm going to record and release an independent album, he was kind of like, you know, cool.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make it happen.
I
Make
don't take for
music.
granted. I don't
Make
take that for granted. Yeah.
make musical magic. I would
Yeah.
imagine those who know you from, the psychotherapist side of things, whether they were, their clients, patients, what have you, and or those who are in that industry are fascinated
Yes.
by what they see and how open you've been about your own life and your own
Mhm.
experience. Here she is, this, renowned psychotherapist helping others, and here she is, she's playing music, she's singing about her life, she's opening about her journey and her ups and downs in life and being a real
Mhm.
authentic human being on the same journey that we're all on, maybe not the same exact path, but still going in this direction of living life and trying to live authentically and well and richly and beautifully. That must be fascinating for them
For
as well
sure,
to
but I
see
think it
this.
really, I'm a clinical social worker and my training is, um, and I'm a clinical social worker to begin with, which means that I really look at human development within the environment. So I look at, somebody's biology and psyche within the circumstances that they're put. And my postgraduate training is in feminist psychoanalytic psychotherapy. So I'm really interested in sort of challenging the traditional um, blank slate sort of psychoanalytic approach to treatment. And the women who trained me are taught me that. And I'm certainly going out on a limb by being a therapist who has like a public face as a musician. But I do think that something I've learned from watching other creators online and um, uh, other therapists who are authentic is that in this day and age, you can't really hide who you are,
Right.
like because everybody's online. And so it can't, to being as real, being as real as possible is healing for the people around you. And I try to live that. And certainly wouldn't volunteer all of the information about myself in somebody's treatment unless it were appropriate. But in terms of people seeing me outside of that environment, I hope that they can see how happy it makes me, and that makes other people want to feel happy and do
What
the
is
work.
what do you hope people are left with when they hear this particular album and all these
Mhm.
fabulous songs that are on it? Invisible Woman. Is there is it specific to a listener that you thought would be in your mind when it was being created, or is it will everybody get something out of it? And what is your hope that they are left with? What's the takeaway
I
for them?
truly believe that this music is for everyone. And what I love about songwriting is that the more specific you are in your lyrics, the more universal the music is, because people relate to, um, you know, authenticity and people's direct experience. And at the end of the day, this album isn't really about womanhood. It's about the fact that we have no control and we never did. And we all came to face that during the pandemic,
True.
and that we have to relearn that at different times in our lives. This was a
Yes.
specific period where I relearned that lesson. And it's ultimately hopeful. It's about, you know, overcoming hardship in your relationships. I have songs that look at my marriage. I have songs that look at, um, motherhood directly. I have songs that look at my identity. But ultimately, the takeaway is that, like, we are all in this together and we are all humans. I think my favorite pull quote from a review was that it reaffirms our collective humanity. The album reaffirms our collective humanity. Um,
It
yeah.
really does,
Mm.
and isn't that great?
Yes.
That's kind of the reason why I can identify. It's sort of like how I live things and how I do what I do on air, off, whatever, just how I just do it. Even my family
Mhm.
and friends will tell you that's pretty much how Jim does it. This is just like a reflection of that. Everything I do professionally and this series is
Mhm.
of that same vein,
Mhm.
of bringing people together and the positivity and looking at life from a lens of, not that everything is rose colored glasses, but that I think when you have an opportunity to realize life is short,
Mhm.
precious, and important,
Mhm.
You come at it differently. You take time to breathe. Go to the forest, go to the garden,
Yeah.
go to the mountains, go to the ocean. And, during the pandemic, I was telling everybody as they were panicking and the world is ending and everything is going apart, nothing, they can't recognize anything they knew since childhood or whatever. Go to the ocean, go to
Mhm.
nature, surround yourself with animals, go to a botanical garden, go to a zoo, whatever. Get out of the house and go to these things that are omnipresent. They've been there well before you, they'll be well after us, and it'll be grounding. Listen to great music like what you
Mhm.
just shared with us now. It puts a different perspective on things. It sort of grounds things. People can breathe deeper. They can take a moment to sort of go, okay, because we are living in a time where everything is ramped up, everything is fast
Yeah.
paced, everything has to be perfect now and
Mhm.
next.
Yes.
Next. No time to appreciate what we're doing right now because we have to be next. And that gets a little crazy.
Yeah, it's not good for anyone's mental health. And I think for me, sort of doing the things that are good for my mental health, I hope present, my ultimate why here is about my kids, right? And what we're leaving to the next generation. And I hope that, like, in doing this, my kids see me making something beautiful out of a difficult time and see that there's joy to be had, even when things are really scary, which they were for a time and will be again and still are really. And, you know,
Yes. All the
um,
above,
that
right?
there's joy to be found in the present moment.
Absolutely. Gang, there is her website. All the music, the album is available on all music streaming platforms as well. What are some of those blessings and joys? You've listed several here on this episode, but others maybe that keep you doing what you're doing and have brought you back to music, Lauren.
Some of my blessings and joys that have brought me back to music,
And
besides my
keep
two.
and it can keep moving forward in your life. I feel this forward
Mhm.
movement that no matter what storms come, you still through that, you can get yourself through the fog going forward. And whoever wants to come along, hop on,
Yeah.
let's go. And I think
I
that's a
think
cool thing and very
yeah.
empowering for others.
Thank you. I think I had it took me a long time to learn how to trust myself, but I really, really profoundly trust my instincts. And uh, that's kind of my guiding light and what I want to embody, or what am I trying to say? Set an example of for my children, is that you really have to trust yourself and like have a and not that doesn't mean like doing whatever you want all the time, but just like being in touch with like that part of you that knows, um, which we all get disconnected from at times, but like figuring out the things that get you in touch with it,
Yeah.
which, I've had a lot of practice with that.
Yes, absolutely. And this is really, exciting. All of these cool things that are happening as the new year is on. You've got all of this wonderful material that you're sharing with us. And I think it's just, you're creating something that could be a wonderful form of therapy through music. And as you've released this new album, Invisible Woman, you were dealing with what you were dealing with, but it's helped you through. And it's something that is very powerful in terms of a message on many, many different levels, Lauren. So beautiful work that you're doing. And this was
Thank
really terrific getting a chance to welcome you to the Jim Masters Show, but also learn about you and share with you and have you share with us, just to show you some of our lovities, the JMS Lovity
you.
Squad. Kathleen in New York says, so nice having you here, Lauren, and sharing your life
Hi,
and music with
Kathleen.
us. And Sherry in Kansas, thank you, Lauren, for being here and sharing your story with us.
Oh,
Blessings
how
and all you do in the
wonderful.
future. Merlin and Kennedy's are some of our regulars. Lauren, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Good luck in your future endeavors. She's in Canada, Jen Berry in Pennsylvania. Lauren, thank you for spending time with us. You are now a Lovity. How's
Oh,
that
thank
feel to be a
goodness.
Lovity on the
Oh my
Jim Masters
goodness.
Show, huh?
I mean,
It's
it
like the
couldn't get
pinnacle
any
of the
better.
career. Most
Well, it's
people,
really nice to be on such a welcoming, a part of such a welcoming community who's willing to listen to my story. So
Absolutely. I tell everybody all the time, there's Oscars, Grammys, Tellys, Tonys, Peabodys, and all the rest. And when you get a Lovity on the Jim Master Show, are your feet tingling right now? Most
a
people
little
said their
bit,
feet
a little bit,
tingling.
a
A
little
couple
bit.
of guests said they've
I
started
know.
levitating. You're the best, Lauren. Continued blessings and joy in your life for you and your family. And stay in touch. Let's definitely stay in
I will
touch.
for
We'll
sure.
keep
I will
us
for sure.
posted on all the cool things you're working on, all the new things you've got happening in your life. And we will definitely, as I always say, keep the porch light on for you. You're welcome back on the Jim Masters Show anytime. And please do spread the word about our show. If you know of
Oh, for
others you
sure.
think would like to pop on, they're all welcome. And folks can see this on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, if they want to see it again. And this was really awesome. Thanks for spending the time with us, playing for us as well, and sharing your wit and wisdom with us on the show. Really, it was an
Thank you,
awesome
Jim.
experience. You're very welcome. You take care now, okay, my friend?
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Cheers. Lauren Minear on the Jim Masters Show. If you'd like to learn more about her, there is the website, gang. I know you're going to flock to that and take a look at all the great music. Again, Invisible Woman is available on all the major music platforms. Yes, you can get it and download and enjoy and check out some of the other music she was talking about as well. It's got a lot of new cool things that are coming up, as do we here at the Jim Masters Show. So many guests, so many terrific episodes, entertainment, music, poignant moments, levity, and all of the levity, of course, that we can throw at you here, coming to us or coming to you from us at Levity Hall. This was cool. Again, really a solid conversation. And we thank Lauren Minear for stopping by the Jim Master Show, entertaining us and having a great conversation. We thank all of you as well, and hope you're having a wonderful time during the holidays and, of course, the new year as well of 2023. Could you imagine 2023? I hope it's a beautiful year for you and yours, and all the blessings and joy in your life as well. Gang, watching, if you would like to comment, not just when the show is on, but at any time, even after the shows, you can do that on our YouTube channel. You can also support the show with super thanks, super chat, super emojis as well. And we really appreciate all of the comments, all the support. With the hundreds of episodes that we've done, we really, really appreciate that. That means, the world to us. And keep it coming. Like, comment, subscribe, share the links on your social media if you really enjoy what we are doing here, and day in and day out for all of you, and sort of bringing back the lost art of conversation, right, gang? That's what we've been doing, and we do it with a lot of fun and a lot of levity. Janet says, what a great conversation tonight, Jim. Thank you. The pleasure is all mine. Janet, good to see you here as well. Maureen in Arizona says, what a fantastic conversation. Thank you for being in Levity Hall this evening. Lauren, thank you, Maureen in Arizona. Jen in Pennsylvania, checking in with some of our folks who have been commenting in the exclusive JMS Levity chat room. When you subscribe, you get a chance to do that when the shows are on. If you ever miss doing that, leave a comment. Even for those of you who are commenting in the chat room, we still would love it if you can leave a comment on the YouTube channel, and give us a thumbs up too. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a thumbs up. We would love that. Such a fun show tonight. Jen Barry says, you look well rested. Welcome home. Maureen, thank you very much. We appreciate that as well. Thank you for another wonderful show. You're very, very welcome. And great conversation. Thank you, Janet. And Sherry Larson in Kansas. Thank you, Jim, for another wonderful conversation. Glad to have you back. Look like you had a wonderful break. Oh, yes. And we have more photos and video to show you from some beautiful sites that we captured. Hope your holidays have been beautiful as well. One of my favorite times of the year, Christmas time. There's just something about it. It's really everything. That's why. And those cookies and the mashed potatoes and stuffing, and of course, the love of family. And God. Thank you, Jim, for another great show. So good to be back here. Well, we're glad you're back, Kathleen Walker. You're always here. You're never not here. And we love that. She's in New York City. Merlin is in Canada. Thank you, Merlin, as well. Relax. Very important as well. We all need to relax. We all lead busy lives. And thank you there in Southern California. We're headed out to California coming in on Saturday, actually. We're headed out to California for a multi-day television project. We're going to be in Northern California for a multi-day television project. We're going to be on site with a noted race car driver, firefighter, humanitarian, and it's going to be amazing. I'll keep you posted on all that cool stuff we're doing. That's part of my television, my professional hat. We're going to be going out to California, to Napa Valley for television shoot projects. It's going to be cool. Thank you, Ann in SoCal. And Merlin says, Lauren, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Good luck in your future endeavors. I second that emotion as well. And good stuff. Yeah. Kathleen says, so nice to have you here, Lauren, and sharing your life and music with us. Thank you, Kathleen, and everybody. Cool to have you here all the time. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We love that. And make sure when you do, click the notification bell so you never miss. There's a little notification bell icon so you never miss any of our episodes. You'll be notified about all the incredible episodes we have coming up. And boy, do we have a lot of incredible guests that are coming up as well. Tomorrow, Gary Hudson is joining us. He is an extraordinary, well-known character actor. You've seen him in so many of your favorite TV series, TV shows, films. Gary Hudson joins us on the Jim Masters Show series tomorrow. Also coming up this week, Leslie Wolf, stand-up comedian, casting director extraordinaire. She's got an amazing story to tell. That's coming up as well on Thursday. Again, on Friday, that is. Thursday is going to be Gary, and Gary is amazing. Friday is going to be Leslie. And also coming up soon this month, Sam Lowe is going to be with us. Country music singer, songwriter Sam Lowe is going to be joining us here live on the Jim Masters Show as well. And we love-it that. We thank Lauren Minear for joining us, coming to us live and direct from New York. Extraordinary indie folk pop artist, singer, songwriter extraordinaire, stopping by the Jim Masters Show. Get all her music is available on Spotify and all the music platforms. And again, here's the one we were talking about, Invisible Woman. Look for that. She's fantastic, isn't she? She loves what she does. She's passionate. And she understands the human condition, and she connects with people on so many different levels, as hopefully we connect with all of you and you connect with each other. Gang, you're the best. Really. Thank you very much. Janet says, while we're there in California, stop at the vineyard while you're out there. We will. We're going to be surrounded by all those vineyards there in Napa. It's going to be nice. We're looking forward to it. They got some crazy weather going there today, I think, but I think crazy weather is happening all over the world. Thank you very much, Sherry Larson. Good to see you as well here on the Jim Masters Show, and everybody watching. If this was your first time here, welcome to the Jim Masters Show. We always have a good time here on the show, and guests that come from all walks of life, celebrity friends, all different backgrounds, and so much more. Again, don't forget to give this episode a like on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Leave a comment and click the notification bell so you never miss any of our episodes. Thanks for being with us, gang. We love you all. This is your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time. Thank you to Janet. Thank you to Kathleen. You got it. Some of you want to double click. However you do it, just click away. And we thank you for being here. We don't say goodbye around here. We say see you later. Ciao, cheers. Shalom, sayonara, hasta la vista, moi lu. Buenos noches, slancha, take care, cheerio, and be well. Jim Masters here. Thank you for your time. This time, till next time, we'll be back tomorrow. Kathleen says, lovity hugs. Spot on. I'll second that emotion. Kathleen in New York City. Be well, gang. Thanks for being with us on the Jim Masters Show. We'll see you on the next one. Don't forget, you can binge watch hundreds of episodes right here on our YouTube channel just for you. Incredible guests from major backgrounds of celebrity to everyday folk who are here to share their story and have a good time with us. We'll see you on the next one. Be well. Cheers.